Greetings, everyone. It's April 30th. Hard to believe it's end of April, and still in the Easter season, standing out here by our beautiful Easter cross. It's a great reminder that Jesus Christ is risen and what that means for us. This past week were the readings of doubting Thomas, and Thomas saying that he wouldn't believe until he could put his hand or touch the nail holes in the side of Jesus. And of course, we know Jesus appears to him, and through that, Thomas comes to great faith, proclaiming, "My Lord and my God." This weekend, I preached in a special way of how important the wounds are, that the wounds of Christ are specifically left, and he retains those wounds so that we won't be afraid to open our wounds to him. And it's through his wounds that we are healed, but it really is that he glories in our wounds when we open ourselves up to him. And how often in our life, sometimes when we're wounded or hurting, we just close in on ourselves. But until we open them up to Jesus, they cannot be truly healed. I can tell you from my own experience in the medical profession in the past, sometimes wounds would fester and we'd have to open them up and we'd do what we call debride them so we could get out the dead tissue, and then you would treat them a day in and day out with kind of saline water and keeping them clean. And so the same thing happens, I think, in our own life when we're hurt and things are happening. They don't always heal instantaneously. Sometimes they take years to heal. But so wounds, then we need to remember that we are wounded and that God saves us through our wounds if we give them to him. And so wounds are important. Forgiveness. In the Gospels this weekend too, there was that granting of forgiveness. And we accept the forgiveness that God gives us, and then we become forgiving people. I always say Eucharist is a powerful gift because we go to the table and remember that we're fed and we're supposed to feed others. When we go into the confessional, we learn, number one, that we're forgiven and that we're called to forgive others. We come in imperfect because God is perfect. And then we realize that even in our imperfections, others are imperfect, but we're still called to love and forgive them. So forgiveness is a key part of our Easter journey. And finally, divine mercy, or mercy itself. That mercy is shown to us and we share that with others. And God's mercy is unfathomable. God is love, and he can do nothing else but love. And it's a merciful love. It's a tender mercy, tenderizing our heart. So hopefully you're having a good week and just loving this Easter season and how beautiful it is. We are still a church in mourning. We buried Pope Francis on Saturday, but that began 9 days of mourning. So those have continued. So here in our church, we've been doing a novena every morning. And tonight at 7 p.m., we'll have a mass, a memorial mass for Pope Francis, where we'll, in a special way, say hi to this lady that's walking by. We'll say, in a special way, offer the mass for the intention of Pope Francis. And it's our way as St. Bernard of Clairvaux in our parish to really offer our prayers for him. I was reflecting today as I was doing the novena that our parish has been doing this for 9 days, of how many prayers throughout the world are there for Pope Francis because of his service to the church, and how much we need to lift him up to God. So please join us if you can at 7 p.m. tonight. One of the other things that's going to be kind of nice is some of the children who have been over to Rome and actually performed for Pope Francis are going to be providing the music for us tonight as well. So a special connection that they have with Kent and the Puricantes groups. So it should be beautiful. And then, of course, May 7th, then, a week from today, is when the official conclave will begin. And we want to start praying, if you haven't already, for the outpouring of the Holy Spirit on the church, on the cardinals who will elect a new Holy Father. I like to remind people that it is the Holy Spirit at work here, and we trust in that. And it's so different than a political election or something. Certainly politics always seep into anything and can happen, but we must trust that this is the Holy Spirit working, and the Holy Spirit at work in the hearts of people who then give us and provide us a Pope, so that when they come out on that balcony and say, Habemus Papam, that we know we have a Pope, that we can all rejoice that the Holy Spirit's at work in his church, as he has been for almost 2,000 years, and will continue to be always, as long as the church exists until Christ comes again. So just some beautiful things that I think are happening during this Easter season for us. as we continue to celebrate that we are an Easter people, that we are loved, that God's divine mercy is there for us, but then also just in this stepping back and watching the Holy Spirit work in his church through the passing of Pope Francis, the election of a new pope, and where God will lead us as a people into the future. Because remember, we're pilgrims of hope, and we hope in the resurrection. So God bless you, and look forward to seeing you either tonight or this weekend at some point. So God bless and have a wonderful day.